Hey, how's it going? Bruce Wayne on the weekends. Welcome, welcome. I'm inside a snowbank, of all things. And I'm just getting some water heated up to have some dinner. Thanks, I appreciate it. So, I didn't really feel like filming a long form video like I do for some of my trips. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. And, oh, welcome to welcome to Switzerland. Yeah, oh, that's awesome. Um, I'm doing Mountain House tonight, and this one actually kind of scares me. I've had it for a while. It's the cheesy pepperoni pizza bowl. So, yeah, I don't know how it's going to treat my stomach, but we're going to give it a chance. I try not to do too many dehydrated meals when I go camping. A, because it's really expensive, and B, some of them can be hit or miss. It's cool if you can find one you like, but yeah, this time I'm just going with a Mountain House. So, just waiting for my water to heat up. Let's see. What I'm running right now is an isobutane stove. I've got a BRS 3000 stove, really lightweight. It weighs like just about an ounce. That's a Toke 750 milliliter pot, and I'm boiling about 300 milliliters of water to put into my dehydrated meal. And, of course, a long-handled spork. Oh, hey Jeremiah, how you doing? Welcome aboard. I'm just starting to get stuff cooked for dinner. Unfortunately, I don't have any um, way to hang this. Normally I'd get paracord or something with me, or a tent stake or something I could hook this off of, but I did have a heater going earlier. I've got rather large vents in the corners of the chamber I built, and I have a propane heater, but it just made everything melt too much, and so I started getting a lot of dripping, and so I turned it off so that the roof can refreeze. But hey, hey, from Concord, New Hampshire? Cool. I'm not terribly far away. Well, that looks like my water's boiling. Get that turned off. Don't fall over. There we go. One of the things I don't like about these dehydrated meals is their pouches. Sometimes are difficult to get properly sealed completely so that they don't leak. Uh, so I gotta take a little extra time with them. Nope, that did not seal. Again. Alright. It is actually sealed properly. How late is it? It's about 12:45 a.m. right now, I think. Oh, hey, Boone. Welcome aboard, man. Awesome. Yeah, I'm inside a snowbank. And a funny thing, I had to move an awful lot of snow to build the chamber for this. This snowbank is probably about 30 feet tall. It's in the back of an industrial park. And I actually made a snow saw during my breaks at work. out of aluminum flat bar stock. And I used it to excavate the tunnel, and then I lost it somewhere in the snow. I don't know if I lost it down the backside of the mountain, if it's buried under something I excavated, but I am kind of bummed out about that because it was about, I don't know, $10 or $12 worth of aluminum stock and the time to cut it out. I was happy with the results and it seemed to work all right, but I got less than an hour of use out of it. So I'm probably going to have to come back and find it come spring when this giant pile of snow melts. But it is what it is. Uh, so, what are you doing for a camp tonight, Boone? I'm always curious what you get up to. You got some awesome locations. Yeah. I made sure that I'm up at the top of this pile, and my front wall is about 12 to 16 inches thick. There's a lot of material up over behind me, but I'm towards the back edge. So I'm on the back side of this giant berm so that I can't be seen from the industrial park that's on the other side. But there's still like some stadium lighting and stuff that keeps the area pretty lit, even though I've got nothing but woods on the back side of me over here. So it's a pretty cool location. I don't have to worry about noise or anything like that. Any light that I have in here isn't going to penetrate through the wall of snow. I've got my shovel right here. Anytime you're in a snow shelter, you want to keep your excavation tools really close at hand just in case anything happens. And that's why I shut down the propane heater that I have, because this snow pile is a mix of refreeze and plowed up stuff, and it's not all the same consistency. And I did make sure that this was able to set for quite a while, several days of sub-zero temperatures, so it can sinter after it's been plowed up and piled up by the machines. So it's a little bit more cohesive. If I had gone in too early, I really would have risked more potential of collapse. But I made sure that I had several nights of sub-zero temperatures to really freeze this pile as best it could. And I'm making sure that I'm staying pretty close to the further edge. Hello there, Susan. Welcome aboard. Oh, a windmill, Boone. Pretending to be Don Quixote for the idiot stealth challenge. Oh, I haven't checked on that one. I don't think I got a notification. But yeah, well, I do have really good ventilation in here. I've actually got like a dinner plate sized hole over in the corner there. Um, and because I do have a carbon monoxide detector and I couldn't find it for this trip. So I wanted to be extra cautious. So I've got like a 1 foot diameter hole over there, and then I've got two vent holes that are almost directly above me in the 12-inch layer. I actually started melting a hole so I can actually see the trees through here pretty easily, not too far above my head. So, oh, thank you for the likes. So right now, I'm just letting my mountain house warm up. And so the bedroll that I've got right now is an interesting setup. Um, yeah, we've been getting a lot of really good storms recently that have put a lot of inches of snow on the ground, and removal and it's been an issue, quite frankly. And we're actually due to get another storm. I'm actually in a lull between two storms. Yesterday we got 8 inches of pretty decent powder, but that didn't really affect anything that I was excavating for this shelter. That's all just on the top and made it more difficult to climb up and over to get to the backside of this. Um, well, outside, let's see what it's. They're saying it's 26 Fahrenheit outside. Um, I don't have a thermometer with me. That's also part of my carbon monoxide detector. But I can see my breath. My fingers are cold, but I've been, doing stuff with the stove and the food and whatnot. I should put my gloves back on now that I think of it. But I don't know. Jeremiah, I'm only going to do one night on this one. We are getting another storm coming in, so that means that plows are going to be adding to this pile, and I don't want to be here when that happens. So this is a couple day break, or like a 1 day window where I don't have to worry about them plowing up and adding and collapsing the shelter, possibly with me in it, because they run all hours for snow removal. Um, yes, my equipment is pretty warm. I'll see if I can give you guys a better look at what I got going on, because I have been doing outdoor stuff for a long time and I've been collecting an awful lot of gear. So I'm going to see if I can flip the camera around and put on my headlamp. So what we're looking at here, this shiny thing is a reflective tarp. That's basically Mylar, and that will reflect a substantial amount of radiated heat, which in this case is my own body heat. And when I had the heater going, that's propane powered, but it's basically infrared. And that infrared heat bounces off this, reflects back onto me. The same way you would have like a windbreak for a campfire can also reflect heat back for you. So then on top of that, you can see there's some of this egg foam pad. This is like the thin accordion Z-fold pads. This one I got on sale for $6 at Eastern Mountain Sports on sale. Usually they can go from 45 to 60 bucks depending on the brand, especially like the Thermarest on the higher end of it. This is also a little sit pad that matches it. Both of them have a silver reflective layer on one side. And so this one I use is like a sit pad, keep my butt warm so I can hang my legs over there when I'm dealing with my boots. I had on like overall snow pants, like snow bib sort of deal, waterproof while I was excavating, but now I'm actually in down puffy pants that are over another base layer. But this sleeping pad here is a one Tigris Noble Jade. It's rated 7R, which is really substantial for a sleeping pad. It has Mylar on the inside, but it doesn't really sound crinkly like a balloon does, which is a problem with a lot of insulated pads. So it's comfortable and it's not noisy when I move around on it. So I've got triple layers under me that are reflecting and retaining my own body heat back on top of me. Again, the reflective Mylar layered tarp, then this thin foam pad, which gives me about an inch of separation, but it also has the reflective layer, and then the 7R pad. And then this is a synthetic sleeping bag. It's a Slumberjack Ronin 0 degree, but I've had this thing and have used it a lot in the last 3 years. This sleeping bag, well, I've been living in my vehicle. This is my fourth winter now living in my vehicle, but 4 days a week I work a full-time job and I sleep in my car. And then 3 days a week I typically go off to the mountains and camp and do hammock camping, tent camping, sleep in my car beside a lake, go on forest roads, and all of it in legal, dispersed national forest land. And I've been a hiker and a backpacker and a camper since I was knee-high to a grasshopper and a Boy Scout, and I've got a lot of gear. So yes, technically I'm homeless and I live in my car. That's a situation we won't really get into, the why and whatnot, but I'll flip this around and we can talk. Oh, well, actually I can show you guys. That's the tunnel there. Give you guys a view around. Well, since the density of this snow is so mixed because it's all been plowed and churned up, like some of it is really good packed snow, and then you get all this crumbly crap everywhere. This little propane heat source was enough to make all of this start melting. And if you look, that's a pretty substantial vent to daylight. Like I've only got probably 8 or 9 inches worth of snow on this wall here, but it gets a lot thicker around it, so I'm not worried about this part giving in or anything. And then over there is about a 1 foot diameter vent hole as well. Because again, I forgot my carbon monoxide detector and I didn't want to take any chances with this propane heater. Um, so yeah, and then as far as my clothes, I have triple layers on my legs. I've got thin synthetic base layers that I got on sale for Eastern Mountain Sports. That's where I get most of my stuff. There's a local brick and mortar not too far away, and they have really good deals and sales and a customer rewards program. It's crazy. They give you store credit for every certain amount you spend, and couple that with their other sales. Like this is an Osprey backpack. That one's a 68 liter. That's normally an MSRP $300 pack that I paid $50 for on a warehouse markdown. Like, how the hell can you beat that? I wasn't really in the market for that backpack because I've got its 38 liter smaller one as my warm weather overnighter or like day hike backpack that I paid about 150 on because it was also on sale. So I've got two matching Ospreys that are really good packs, but I buy all of my gear on sale. But oh yeah, no, it was a fantastic buy. Oh, you can see that orange glow out there is actually the stadium lights from the parking lot of the industrial complex behind me. So even when I kill all my lights, it's still easy to see for the most part. And since I'm used to being in my vehicle all the time, this is the sleeping bag I normally use. Uh, and in the winter, I do go to a community center and I do take regular showers. When things aren't frozen, I have rechargeable. Here, I need to take my gloves off so I can push the button to flip the camera and actually talk to you guys. Let's see if I can pull this out. All right, so no, that's going to tip on me, isn't it? Oh, okay, we're good. So yeah, in the winter, I do take showers at a community center. Hygiene is really important, especially in the winter when you're bundled up on these warm clothes. And if you reuse them, they do, you know, hold bacteria and stink and stuff. So you gotta make sure that you keep everything clean as well as your body. Because when your clothes get really covered with like your body oils and stuff like that in cold weather, it can actually reduce their insulation value, especially for your base layers. But in the warmer weather, basically, as soon as the rivers thaw out, like I don't really want to do the polar bear plunge. I did that as a Boy Scout. That's when they cut a hole in the ice in the lake and you all go swimming. Um, yeah, forget that. But I will do like washcloth bathing and stuff behind a nearly or almost frozen stream and stuff when necessary. But I have plenty of ways to heat water and stuff. But I really like the portable shower. I've got a Flex Till mini shower. I forget what the actual model name is, but it's 7 ounces and it's about the size of 2 packs of cigarettes, and it's got really good flow, and the battery lasts for about 90 minutes, and you can submerge it in up to 120-degree water. So when I go camping on the dispersed forest mountain roads, I'll bring a black 5-gallon bucket with me and then fill it up in the stream in the mornings and then let the sun heat the water for me during the day. And so by the mid-afternoon, if I want to shower, or in the early evening, if the water's not hot enough, I can just scoop a pot full up, put it on my stove, get it boiling, and then add it back to the 5-gallon bucket, and then submerge the pump in it because the pump will withstand 120 Fahrenheit. So that works really well. Okay, synthetic for my sleeping bag, because synthetic will insulate better even when it's damp. And I'm in a snow cave. There's moisture everywhere. I didn't bring my bivy bag, which is a waterproof and weatherproof cover that goes over the sleeping bag. But I'm kind of using a hybrid system because my puffy jacket here is down insulated. I'm wearing down pants by Nature Hike that I'm giving a shot, and I also have down booties Um, they're not meant to be walking around in because then you'll compress the fill. But inside your sleeping bag, my extremities, my fingers, and my feet get really cold. So I'm constantly looking for ways to keep myself warm in cold weather. Now, this synthetic sleeping bag is great, but this is my fourth winter using it. And when I use my bags, I'm using them for the entire season every single night. So, most of the spring and fall, I use 40 or 50 degree summer weight bags. I've got a jungle bag for hot weather. And then in the fall, I've got a 20-degree version of this same bag by Slumberjack. And I'll use that until late October, and then I switch over to this 0 degree bag, and I'm usually in it until mid March before I switch back to my 20 Fahrenheit bag. The problem with synthetic bags is they're bulkier, they're harder to compress. So if you're packing with them, you need a larger pack. Now, I can barely fit everything I need for an overnight trip in this 68-liter pack using this. Now, down bags are a lot better as far as compression, and it's just the problem is even with the coatings that they are starting to put on the downfill to make them hydrophobic, they still have problems insulating when it's wet. So I've always gravitated towards synthetic, but I do have a down blanket that I use in egg seasons. It's a Sea to Summit quilt. It's not actually quite like a sleeping bag. It's got a open foot box, but you can open it up like a whole blanket. So um, but yeah, I kind of like the theory of buy once, cry once. I have a lot of really good gear, but I've waited a long time before I actually pull the trigger and decide to get a substantial piece of gear. Like I researched my packs when I got them. I researched my sleeping pads for different seasons. And I have no shortage of gear to pull from because I've got a storage unit and I can just swap out what I need whenever I want. No, the level of my entrance is below my sleeping level. And so what that does is cold air sinks. So my body heat is actually going to warm this chamber up a little bit because I'm surrounded by insulation. Snow is an excellent insulator. Even though I'm no longer using the propane heater that I have. Um, hey, thanks. I appreciate you showing up, Jeremiah. I'm glad you were able to be here. I haven't done a live for a while. Uh, Oh, yeah, Boone, the electric heaters for your socks. I don't know, it's just too many batteries, and as we all know, batteries have a difficult time working in cold weather, whether it's discharging or your phone charging. Um, well, finally, it's starting to get lighter, or at least daylight is lasting longer. So sunset isn't until about 6 p.m. now. But I work a weird shift where I don't get out until 1 in the morning normally on my work week. So I'm kind of a night owl anyway, and I'm usually up until dawn, except when I go to the woods, and then I completely reverse my schedule, and then I'm up with dawn, and then stay up into the evening, but not too late, so I get a decent night's sleep. But I mean, I doom scroll like everybody else. Um, I haven't read any books in a while. There was one. What was it? I can't remember the author, but it was about 1700s colonial Vermont um, that I was reading. But yeah, movies. I've got hard drives with tons of movies I can copy to my phone. I've got a couple of free streaming apps that I use. So, in the same way you'd kill time. But when I'm in forest areas, I tend to leave the technology alone. And so I'll either just focus on like camp tasks, whether it's gathering and splitting wood, going for a walk, fishing. Um, but like right now, I didn't get here until 7 o'clock p.m., and it took me about 2.5 hours to dig out this chamber. Um, I could read Don Quixote. It's actually been a while. I think I actually have a copy. I have a lot of old books. One of the jobs I used to do in my late teens and early 20s was a house mover, And so people would give away furniture and stuff like that to the movers, and then they'd turn around and sell it on Craigslist or what have you, yard sales and stuff. But I always focused on the old books that people were getting rid of. And I would also scour the dump for old books. So I love reading classic literature. And so I'm sure I've got Don Quixote somewhere. Yeah, it is. But then again, I've also got War and Peace. I haven't made my way through it. But I used to be a really voracious reader. In school, even early in school, I'd get in trouble not focusing on class because I was reading another book. I started with stuff like Jules Verne and Isaac Asimov. I loved adventure and science fiction and science in general. I have a really limited sense of like suspension of disbelief, so fantasy stuff I couldn't really get into, but anything that was like technical, I really liked. So of course Clancy, he gets lost for 100 pages on minutia of technical stuff that can be really difficult to plow through. No, not Les Mis. Um, I don't want to say I'm a francophobe, but I've stayed away from a lot of French literature. Um, but yeah, it's been a while since I picked up a good book and gave it a good run. But I would be that cover to cover reader. I used to be hundreds and hundreds of books, and I've carted books all across the country and kept them in my collection. I've got a really nice 1800s edition from Henry Wordsworth Longfellow. I've got a multi-book series for Edgar Allan Poe. I've got complete works of Shakespeare, like four different versions, and then classics like, well, lots of band classics and stuff like 1984 and How to Kill a Mockingbird and but beautiful versions of them because there's nothing quite like a hardbound book. They just have history and I don't know, it's tactile. I think it's something that we miss out on in the digital age. All right, Boone. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with me. It's been fun. Uh, I'm not used to streaming or really being in front of a camera even at this point. My channel's almost a year old. In a month it'll be a year old, I think. I probably would. Man, I loved reading the pulp western novels like Louis L'Amour and stuff like that. There were a lot of like spy series I got into, Clive Cussler and um, geez, so many other things. But I don't know. Life gets in the way of life sometimes. Some interests take over others, and reading just kind of fell by the wayside. But it's something I really should get back into. Peace, Boone. Thanks for hanging out. So, uh, so I mentioned before, I'm a little apprehensive about this Mountain House meal because it's cheesy pepperoni pizza bowl, and so I've had it for quite a while, and I just keep giving it a side eye. Yeah, and oh, Jeremiah, you're right. And Clive Cussler, oddly enough, I have a really difficult time listening to audiobooks because I don't know, ADD, squirrel. It's really difficult for my mind to track. I have no problem keeping pace with really complex movies. I'm very much a fan of cinema, and I've got a huge, huge movie collection. But ADD, I forgot what I was saying because now I've got warm food in front of me. Yeah, no, there are multiple gas stations 24-hour that are very close by if I have an emergency. Like I don't know if this is going to be like Taco Bell level dangerous, but hmm, um, smells like those what the hell are those pizza tot things? Like Tostinos or something? Oh, it didn't hydrate all the way through. I mixed it quite well. Now, with these dehydrated meals, this one said to use 325 milliliters of water, and I only used 300 because 9 times out of 10, you end up with a soupy mess where it will rehydrate completely, but there'll still be a lot of extra water left, and it just ruins the texture. And this one, like, I don't know if it's like pieces of crust in here, but they're not quite hydrated all the way through. Susan, thank you for joining. You need to go and milk the cow. Well, they do take a lot of work, but have a good one. I'm glad you were able to stay for a little while. I appreciate the company. There we go. This actually isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's kind of like eating Chef Boyardee, but pizza instead of ravioli, if that makes sense. Like it's got the same like amount of sauce ratio, like sauce to pasta for Chef Boyardee to pizza sauce to dough and cheese. Like it actually has melted stringing cheese on here hanging off. So that's cool. Nope, I'm still getting dripped on. My own body heat's still melting the snow above me. But yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have some warm food in your stomach right before you go to bed. It'll help supercharge your internal heater. Pretty steady drip. It's annoying. Mm. Well, it was an awful lot of work digging out all the snow from this. So as soon as I set the pads down and had a warm place to put my butt, I did have a granola bar with some chocolate in it because I needed the energy. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do afterwards, but I did before I started the stream. I made myself some hot chocolate, so I've got a Stanley thermos full of that, and I still have just enough water to make coffee in the morning. I'm not a coffee person. The only time I do it is like when I need a reason to have something hot as soon as I wake up. And I was going to have tea, but I decided on hot chocolate tonight. But I alternate between hot chocolate, tea, and coffee just to get hot liquids. I'll suffer through. Like I love caffeine, and I love the way good coffee smells, but I am not a fan of drinking coffee on the regular. Yes. I don't know what brand I used. Like I've got packs of Swiss Miss. Like in my car, I've got a cooler of all like my dry goods, and I have lots of different drink mixes. I've got Electrum Light mixes. I've got like just zero cal flavor mixes, like iced tea and lemonade and stuff. And then cocoa, and then instant coffee, and a pretty big selection of tea, and then creamer and sugar. That way, like, because drinking water, just plain water all the time, gets boring as hell. So I do have to spice it up. So I like to have a lot of different mix options. And so I've got a titanium water bottle that I use. And the reason I chose the titanium is because it doesn't hold any flavors like a plastic or a steel bottle will. So I can use all of those different drink mixes and not worry about the flavor transferring through after I rinse it. Yeah, this is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I've had this thing kicking around for about 2 or 3 years now. But I have a good selection of them, different dehydrated meals and sides and stuff, just in case. But I like to cook fresh whenever I can, especially when I'm out in the woods. Like it just hits better. But my arm's starting to go numb from leaning on it for too long. I should probably put my gloves back on. My fingertips are starting to get cold. But looks like it's about 20 degrees and dropping. It's harder to in the winter. It's harder to cook fresh in the winter because, I mean, I don't want to use my stove in my enclosed car, so you have to have doors open and stuff. And depending on what I'm cooking, like I don't like the fumes, like and like the splatter of oil getting over everything on the headliner and smoke. So like I use electric skillet and on my power station and a small rice cooker for a lot of things so that I can take fresh vegetables and steam them. I can mix them in with rice. I can make soups, pastas, and all sorts of stuff. Um, so it does give me a lot of options because my power station can recharge from the 12 volt while I'm driving around. And that's worked out really well. And I put off getting one for 3 years, and this winter it's made an absolute game changer. Like I can't begin to describe how much of a difference that thing makes. And the biggest reason is that I'm getting sick of dealing with the cold. Like I already decided I was done with being in my car, but life said, no, you're not done. So despite trying to change that situation, it hasn't quite worked out yet. But in the meantime, I'm facing my fourth winter and I changed it up a bit. I got the down pants and the down booties, which cost me about 100 for both uh, total. But they seem to be working out well, so that seems like a good investment. And then the other thing was the power station by Anchor, um, and that powers a USB sleeping bag heater, and that's what's the game changer. That makes it so much warmer. I don't have to run my car as frequently to run the heat in the car, and because it just makes enough heat to keep me warm and slightly warms up the cabin, kind of like I'm insulated in this chamber of snow right now. Um, your own body heat in an enclosed vehicle, and I still have windows cracked for ventilation. That's unavoidable, but it still retains some heat. And so that system with the USB powered heater and the Anchor power station, why didn't I do it sooner? Like I was really kicking myself when I realized how much of a difference it made. Amber Rose Lucero, welcome to the stream. Where are you checking in from? That's a starkly different name from William Lawrence. But well, I am inside a snowbank in New Hampshire because why not? Really, it's been a while since I've really gotten out. I've kind of been dealing with certain things in my life that have preoccupied me and kept me a little down, and just not putting any effort into doing the things I like. And I decided to turn that around and do a stealth camp. Why not? My last one was back in October, so I've gone camping and stuff since, but I wanted to add a little fun to it. And so here I am, sleeping in a snow cave. So, yeah, I'll flip the camera around and show what we got going on here. Well, I can, because once I put my gloves on, I won't really be able to manipulate everything. So here's the setup here. I've got multiple layers of insulation to get me up and off the snow, and a good 0-degree sleeping bag. Nice puffy down pants, nice puffy down boots, and puffy down jacket. Now, that entrance is a lot bigger than you'd normally make in a snow cave, but I wanted to make sure I could get out of this thing easily in case I have to. This whole wall is actually only about a foot thick, but there's a lot of material up behind me up this way, so I wanted to make sure, because this I can just stand up and push right through. If I needed to get out of here, I could just stand right up. But just in case, I've got my shovel. But yeah. So the top of that is just below the surface of where my pad is. So cold air sinks, and also carbon monoxide settles in low spots. So when I was running my stove and when I was running the propane heater, naturally that's going to flow down and cascade down and go right out the exit. And I've got multiple vent holes up here, and then a nice big 1-foot hole over there that you can't really see. Yeah, but it's all like dirty parking lot snow. So I'm going to have to clean my gear pretty well, because there's rock salt and gravel and all sorts of crap that's been mixed in through this stuff. But I did give it several days to harden up below zero before I chose to do this. Because when this pile was just made, it hadn't compacted enough, and it would have been actually dangerous to try and attempt this. But now that it's been able to freeze for several days, and we're due to get another storm tomorrow, and I don't want to be here when the plows come back. So there's that. Oh, I got a new subscriber. That's awesome. Alright, so I'm going to flip this back around after. But yeah, I was running this propane heater, but it was causing way too much melt and dripping. And I didn't bring my bivy bag, so any drips that land on me are going to soak into my bag. So I kind of wanted to minimize that. I'm okay with dealing with the cold right now. It's only going to be about 17 degrees tonight, which isn't that bad. And with all the layers I got on, I'm more than equipped for it. But yeah, it's been a while since I've done this. Probably about 10 years since the last time I did a snow shelter. But that one was a trench, actually, because there wasn't really enough snow in the area to build up a proper, like, Quincy hut to make a shelter like this. Like, the snowplows and excavators did most of the work piling up this whole berm. I just dug it out. But when you're in the woods and you need to make a snow shelter, a lot of times you have to move a lot of snow and build your own pile. Yeah, I know. It was in a tote at the very bottom of the stack in the very back of the storage unit, and I did not feel like digging out that bivy bag. But I'm only doing one night, and so when I get up in the morning, I can just take this right to the laundromat. I actually came here from the laundromat because when you're living in a vehicle, condensation's an issue no matter how you try to mitigate it. And in the winter, stuff like damp red packs and stuff like that don't work. So the only option you have is keeping your windows cracked so you've got some ventilation. But any soft goods in your vehicle are going to absorb moisture day after day. So I regularly have to clean and dry my bag and any clothing and soft goods, extra blankets and stuff on a regular basis, just because they absorb the moisture from being in the vehicle so frequently. So I had just dried out everything. And so if it does get a few drops on it, no big deal. I can actually pull this blanket over me, or tarp over me, kind of like a space taco, and that'll cover me with a little bit more reflective heat from the top that'll insulate me if I do get too cold. So I don't think I'll need to though. But yeah, I think I'm gonna switch the camera back. You can after I stop blending you, because I need to put the phone down so I can keep eating. So it says there's 5 of you in here. What are you guys up to tonight? It must be close to 1 o'clock now. 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hanging out on the couch? That's not a bad way to spend the night. You got me up on the big screen? 10:28. Portland. How's the winter been treating you guys out that way? It's been a long time since we've got a bunch of substantial snowstorms consecutively in the winter in New Hampshire. Like my childhood, I remember lots of snow, constantly lots of snow. And I don't think it's just that warped perception of me being so small and the world being so big. Um, like I think we genuinely got more substantial snowstorms. Um, because I remember growing up through the 80s and early 90s, like we got hit constantly. And this winter kind of reminds me of that. We've gotten a couple of really good storms back to back all along the eastern seaboard. And in a few cases, my area of New Hampshire really got spared um, compared to a little bit further south. So they're saying we're going to get walloped come this Sunday into Monday, but New Hampshire's going to get spared with only about 3 inches. And further south, I think they're looking up 12 to 18 inches. Um, well, since I'm in a snow cave right now, I can't really tell what it's doing outside, but I'm I don't know. I'm really looking forward to spring. I want the winter to be done. The snow is a challenge. It's beautiful, but like in my situation, I'm kind of forced to deal with it. When I had the choice to do it voluntarily, I didn't do a lot of snow camping. I got minor frostbite in the Boy Scouts, and that kind of scared me off for a little while. But I do think I feel spring coming on. I don't know if Puxatawny Phil was wrong in his 6 more weeks, but like I'm not even one to follow the weather reports all that much unless I'm actually going on a dedicated hike because then it's really important. But if it's just like a regular overnight camp or just day to day, I'd rather be surprised because for the most part I'm equipped to deal with it no matter what happens. Um, so I don't obsess over the forecast. I mean, I get alerts and notifications, but what am I eating? I am eating a Mountain House cheesy pepperoni pizza bowl, dehydrated meal that I've had for quite a while, and I was really reluctant to try it. I was wondering if it was going to give me like heartburn or just not taste that good because it's a soupy bowl of pizza, essentially. But it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Mm. It basically has the consistency of Chef Boyardee, but instead of pasta and marinara, it's pizza sauce and pizza dough and actual cheese in it. So, but it's got the same mouth feel as like Chef Boyardee ravioli, but pizza. So it's really good as far as dehydrated meals go. I've had a lot of military MREs. I've had a lot of dehydrated meals, but I try to keep them as a backup um, because they are very simple to make. They typically don't take a lot of resources, typically under 8 ounces of water for a serving. So they're quick to prepare. But yeah, when you can cook fresh, why not? When fishing season's open, I usually have a double burner Coleman stove and cast iron pans with me all the time, all the time. I have a fire tripod that I can hang bale handle pots on and cook stews. I don't have a Dutch oven, but I like to cook. Um, Foil packet cooking over a campfire, like no, I'm just in a populated area. I'm not up in the White Mountain National Forest right now. I'm further south in New Hampshire currently, and the cell service is pretty decent here. Like I've got full signal in 4G. Um, the 5G service around here stinks. Every time it hands off to 5G, my phone doesn't work great. But it also helps that I don't have a lot of really heavy snow cover over me in this cave. I wanted to keep the walls pretty thin so I could bust out if I need to, because I'm at the top of a very massive pile. This thing's got to be at least 30 feet tall of snow um, that was pushed up by plows and excavators in an industrial. Sorry, I can't talk. And I'm in an industrial park, and so they've got lots of parking lots that they plow and end up with a lot of snow. So I'm on the backside of this massive berm, and I'm up near the top of it so that there's not too much weight hanging over my head. And I've got a large, generous exit right beside me and pretty thin walls where if I stand up, then I'm out. So the cell service is not an issue here. It is when I go to the mountains, because that's where I really wish I could stream from. But Starlink's a little too rich for my blood. I do have a cellular signal booster for my car, but I haven't really found that it works that well, which is a shame because it costs $200, and I just haven't really noticed a big difference. Um, but I assume if I were just using it for voice, it would work better. But my biggest need would be data, especially for navigation and maps, whether it's Google Maps or like All Trails or something like that. I download as many offline maps as I can, but it's also nice to find different stuff along the road and be able to search for a gas station when you need one. So, in the White Mountain National Forest, cell service is a pretty rare thing. It's time for a little bit of hot chocolate. I made this earlier before I started the stream. Hot food, hot drink. That'll keep me warm while I'm digesting it. Yeah, life's been kind of beating on me lately, and I haven't been getting out there and doing stuff like this and going camping. And I saw the opportunity to do a Snowbank stealth camp, and I haven't done one for a really long time. So no, there's no rum in it. I don't drink below like 40 degrees. In my situation, I live in a car. It's a liability traveling with open containers and crap like that. So if I am going to drink, it's something small and I finish it in one go when I'm staying somewhere. But like, yeah, it's a great way not to wake up. I don't want to take that risk. Like, I just don't drink in the freezing cold. But hot chocolate, heck yeah. I think I've got one more serving of that. This thing just keeps drip, drip, dripping on me. if you'll forgive me, I'm going to have a nicotine tablet because I quit vaping 2.5 weeks ago. And I get hellish nicotine withdrawals. Uh, I quit. I was completely done with it, free and clear. And then life just said no about that. You're in the next concentric circle of Dante's Easy Bake Oven. A new fresh level of hell. And by the way, you're going to start vaping again. So I've been vaping again, and I'm trying to quit. I've tried like every method possible to quit nicotine. The patches, the little tiny lozenges. Chantix almost got me caught on charges because of night terrors. That stuff was brutal. Yeah, I used vaping to stop smoking cigarettes. Like the cigarettes were actually the easiest form of nicotine for me to give up. The vape, ugh. But about 2.5 weeks off that, and now I'm down to 2 milligram nicotine lozenges, and probably another 2 weeks of that, and hopefully I'll be done with it once again. Because about this time last year is when I started vaping again. Because life took a turn, I had some complications, and it was really stressful. But, well, it's a year later, and I'm quitting it again. And I'm all the better for it. I'm actually pretty warm in here. I mean, aside from my fingertips being a little stiff, but like my fingers and toes are always the first thing to freeze up. I don't know if the chat froze up or not, but yeah. I didn't really have a plan on what to talk about. I can show off some of my gear if you're interested. I did try out a little table here for the first time that works with my isobutane stove. Let's flip that. So this here is a fire maple table that goes over your fuel canister and has a hole that your stove can go through, so you can cook and then have like a prep area and do other extra stuff. It's pretty lightweight. I haven't packed with it because primarily I do car camping, so I don't have to worry about the weight of stuff I bring. But it was on a crazy sale, and I was like, why not? Seems all right. I don't really have a very flat surface for it in the snow. But the other thing I got is a USB powered heated koozie for my fuel canister. And I don't really think it's doing much of anything. I think this one is defective. I don't have my touchless infrared thermometer, but I wanted to do actual testing with a can that's been left out and in the cold, because they have a hard time doing the phase change from liquid to gas when these canisters get below about 20 degrees. And some of them work a little better than others. The can in here is an MSR, and I wanted to see if this would actually work, and I don't think it is. It feels like good construction. What brand is it? It's called Hot Devil. I got it for about $20 on Amazon, and it's supposed to be a USB-C powered heater for your fuel canister. And in cold weather, that's fantastic. I've never seen a product like it, but I've wanted one for years. But I'm stupid and didn't get the patent myself. So I got this, and it feels like heavy-duty double-layer Cordura. There might be a heating element around the outside of this. From just pinching it from the inside and out, it feels like there's something in there, but I'm not entirely sure. And I know there's a heating element in the bottom, because the only time I feel any heat is when I'm actually pinching the bottom layer, and then it seems to activate. But otherwise, it doesn't warm the fuel up that I've been able to tell. So I do have to do more testing, but I think it might be defective. But I had high hopes for it. Good. I have kind of learned a greater appreciation of camping in the cold weather. I avoided it for a really long time, but now I'm doing stuff like this. And I go hammock camping in the winter. This year, I actually purchased my first true and proper 4-season tent, a One Tigris Stella 2-person, and I've taken that out into 2 snowstorms so far, and that performed pretty good. But what I really want is a hot tent and a hot tent stove, but those are definitely large investments that I can't afford right now. So instead, I'm sleeping in a snow cave. What are you going to do? Drip, drip, drip. There's the sky out there. Plenty of ventilation and fresh oxygen. We've hit an hour with 15 likes. I'll take that. Well, AccuWeather says it's 25 degrees. I think it's a bit colder than that. I think it's about 20 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Nice and cozy. One thing about these sleeping bags is I always twist in them, wrap myself up. But my feet are nice and warm still. That's good. Looks like my triple layers of insulation are keeping me warm from the snow. This air pad that I'm using is the One Tigris Noble Jade. It's rated at 7.3R, which is really high for a rating for a sleeping pad. There aren't too many that go much higher than that. But it recently got a bad review from a channel, a YouTube channel that I really respect, Outdoor Gear Review. And Luke said that he had some problems with this in testing and that it wasn't as warm as it should be. And I've had mixed results with this pad. I took this out on Thanksgiving, the weekend of Thanksgiving. I was alone, so I went out and took my tent and set it up. And it actually got down to -5. And I was fine on that pad. I had this same tarp as a reflector on the base of my tent for a ground cloth, and then this directly on top of it with the same foam pad that I'm using now. So basically this same setup. And -5 degrees, I was fine. The next time I took it out, it was positive 20 degrees. I didn't use this. I didn't use the tarp, but I did have the foam pad and then the 7R One Tigris pad, and I froze my butt off. And it was far warmer out, and I don't know why. So I don't think that this makes that much of a difference. But so far I've had inconsistent results with this pad, but I always tend to go with multiple things to keep myself warm. I don't know, but it looks like the chat might have froze. If anybody is there, you mind typing something? I've seen the same thing for quite a while now. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It almost seems like the chat's froze on my side. That happened to me a lot in the fall when I was doing a lot of fishing lives. I would notice that the chat would constantly freeze. But if you can hear me, and you can say hi in the chat, I'd appreciate it. But I think chat may be frozen on my side. But I'm in a giant snowbank. And it's about 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Um, I've got a multi-layer setup here that keeps me up off the snow. The first layer is a tarp that has a mylar reflective coating on one side that'll bounce my body heat back to me. On top of that, I've got a thin egg crate foam Z fold pad, also with a reflective layer, and then a 7R air pad, and then a 0 degree sleeping bag. So I'm pretty cozy. But yeah, I figured it was something to do. What does that do? Yeah, well, at this point, I'm pretty sure that the chat's froze, and I don't know how to fix that without ending the stream. So this might be a good time to wrap things up. But yeah, I'm going to try and stay warm. I've got my shovel here to dig out just in case. I got to throw that in my sleeping bag with me so it doesn't freeze. That's water for my coffee tomorrow. And if that freezes, then I'll have to actually cook the bottle itself because it's titanium. But I think the chat's frozen on my end. I keep seeing people come in, and it's been stuck on the same messages for quite a while now. And that seems to be pretty common for my lives. It's really frustrating. So I don't know if I can back out and then come right back in. So I'm going to try it, and if it works, great. But if it doesn't, then I might have to say goodnight because chat's frozen on my end. So let me try this real quick. Hopefully we can talk. Oh, yes. Two-step. Thank you. I do see your message. It's awesome. How are you doing tonight? I'm going to turn off my headlamp and then get the camera flipped. All right. So I guess I'm the only one frozen. But that's what I get for being inside a giant snowbank. But it's been a while since I've gone out and done anything for myself and actually pursued my interests. And so I haven't really gone on a camping trip recently. I've just been staying locally, and that's been kind of boring. I'm still local at the moment, but I haven't done a stealth camp since October when I slept under a ballistic missile. Yeah, a ballistic missile. Um, Decommissioned on display in a very open area in a small town in New Hampshire. And I actually did film that adventure, and I really liked the way it turned out. It was a Halloween stealth camping challenge. Um, but since that, I haven't really done any videos for my channel. I haven't done any adventures or camp and cook or stuff that I normally do or post. Um, so I decided that still wasn't really feeling up to filming a long form because they do take a lot of work, but I figured I should still get out there and do something. So I'm out here doing something. And I took a couple photos and posted it on my channel as well as having this live instead of doing a long form. Because it's nice to get out and do something different. It's nice to be able to talk to people for a little bit. Um, Share what I like doing, share my special kind of crazy, I guess, because not everybody would think this is a good time. digging into a giant pile of snow in the middle of winter and saying, hey, I want to sleep in that. So, but I don't know. This has always been my idea of a good time, being out in nature. It's the only way I've been able to heal. Like, a lot has gone on in my life, and things could be an awful lot worse. But the one thing that's always got me through it is being able to do stuff outside in nature. And whether it's fishing, camping, backpacking, like all of it is just truly restorative. So I needed this. I needed to get out and do this. And it's definitely been a fun time. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. I'm happy to answer any questions about my gear or my lifestyle or stuff like that. Um, sorry, the camera's mounted in the snow. But my nose is starting to run a little bit. I guess I am a little chilly. But this constant dripping is starting to be annoying, though. I'm gonna have to move my little stove setup here. Every time the drip hits the little table for my stove, it splatters and risks getting on my sleeping bag. And I chose, well, I couldn't find my bivy bag. So if any drips from the walls of this snow cavern come down, they will soak into the synthetic fill on my bag, and I don't want that. So I'm trying to keep it off me as best I can. Sorry, I'm trying to get my feet aligned because I've got another fleece hoodie that I'm not wearing that's tucked down in between my feet. It helps to take up some of the extra volume in the footbox of the sleeping bag so that I don't waste heat, body heat, heating that dead space. Um, and it's also soft and gives me another thing to wrap around my toes because my feet do get kind of poor circulation. But I've only been using the down pants and the down booties from Nature Hike for about 2 weeks now. And this is my first like actual snow cave adventure using them. Normally I'm in my vehicle or a tent. And so they're actually doing pretty good. But I am wearing 3 layers. I've got 2 base layers and then the down pants on top of that. Um, I've got a thin synthetic base layer against my skin, basically like tights, and then, well, the synthetic like sport, like long john sort of things, but from Eastern Mountain Sports, and then on top of that, I've got basically sweatpants, but they're designed to wick moisture away from you better. So the 3 layers have been keeping me really warm because the fill on this bag is pretty well crushed at this point. This is the 4th winter I've been using it for extended periods of time, and as good as it is for a sub $200 bag when I bought it, I can definitely tell that it's not holding up to the temperature the way it used to. So I've been having to change my and add to my base layers to augment the bag as it's decreasing in efficacy. But that's why I layer my system. I have redundancy for everything. With the choices of gear that I have, I can swap out because I've been collecting it for so long. And so, as my needs change, if I find out, like in this case, I need to augment the bag, I have the ability to. So, so I'm gonna give you guys a view of what we're doing here, because I am inside a big snow cave. So multiple layers of insulation keeping me up off the snow here. That's what we're looking at. And there's the kitchen area. I was running the heater, but it was actually too hot and water's been dripping like crazy. And I haven't run that heater for about 2 hours plus now. Oh, and you just saw that. My body heat is enough to keep this chamber warm, and it's still dripping. I should have made the walls a lot smoother, but all of this snow is different densities. It was plowed up from a parking lot and then piled really high by an excavator. So it's not all the same consistency snow. So I couldn't make the roof really smooth. But now it's just dripping everywhere. So, but it hasn't been dripping on me, which is good because there's a lot of this like crappy stuff up over here, but above me is like much denser, like more pristine snowpack, and so that fortunately hasn't been dripping. But if you'll notice, the surface of my sleeping area is just above the surface of the height of the tunnel for the entrance, and that's because the cold air will settle and naturally drop down, as well as if I'm using my butane stove or my propane heater, any carbon monoxide is heavier than air, so it naturally flows to the lowest point, so it can have plenty of ventilation in here. If it were really windy, I would use my pack to block the door. I intentionally made this door a lot larger than it should have been, just because of the nature of what I'm dealing with here. So, but yeah, if nobody has any questions or anything they want to say, I think I'm going to wrap up, because it is about 2 a.m. in the morning now, and I feel like zipping up into a little cocoon and getting some sleep so I can sneak out of here in the morning. I don't know, maybe I'll choose to do a quick live if I make coffee in the morning, but it doesn't seem like anybody's really talkative at the moment. But I appreciate those of you that did join and stick around, even if you're just listening. But yeah, I guess we're going to call it a wrap. So take care, everybody. Have a good night.